Hi everyone, welcome back to Actual English. I'm Jennifer Clyde. It's time for lesson 385 and today's topic is My Greatest Lesson, Part 2. So for those of you that joined me in our previous lesson, I did tell you that it's our second My Greatest Lesson topic because previously we did have the opportunity to listen to what Gareth and Kelly had to say. Now today we have Martin and Mary sharing their experiences, telling us about their greatest lessons, perhaps their greatest life lessons, what they've learned from their life experiences. So while we take a listen to the actual talk conversation, why don't you take a moment to think about your greatest lessons? Here we go.
So I'm trying to give some of my kids life lessons as well as English lessons.
Yeah.
Because it's important to give them a variety of information, not just try and teach them English.
Right.
And I was teaching them that, you know, you're going to be okay in the future. Don't stress too much about all the little things.
Right.
Did you have any life lessons that you learned from your parents or teachers?
Yeah, something similar to that. I think during college, I kind of started to have this mental breakdown. I had chosen a major. I wasn't really sure it was what I wanted to do or how it was going to connect me to the greatest future for myself or everything that I had dreamed of. And I was talking to my dad one night on the phone, and he kind of said, don't worry so much about the big picture or the exact path. The path will kind of create itself. Just embrace your opportunities that you have right now, invest yourself into them, and take out bits of wisdom. Inevitably, you're going to learn something from every experience. And then when you're looking back, as my father can do now, he's a little bit older than me, as he says, as I look back now, I see how all the dots connect. But when he was going down his path, he couldn't see that. He didn't know how this experience was going to give him this tool to deal with the problem in his future job. But it inevitably does.
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. With regards to life and moving forward, you just have to accept that not everything is going to work perfectly for you. I think that's one of the biggest lessons you can learn.
Right, and when something doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, there's a lesson to be learned. So it's okay.
Yeah, exactly that.
Today's actual talk got me thinking, we learn so much from our parents, don't we? From a very early age, a young age, until we grow very old. When we're young, parents tell us things. We don't really listen carefully. We don't take what they say seriously. But as we grow up, we look back and we think about those little things they told us, how important they are, and how precious those little stories are. It's just something that warms up your heart. Anyhow, we had Martin and Mary talking about their experiences, so let's take a look. Martin says, I've been trying to give some of my kids life lessons. So, he's talking about life lessons. These lessons are perhaps useful knowledge. We're talking about useful knowledge, things that you can apply to your life, okay? Or perhaps they can be experiences, okay? Things that you've experienced up until this point of your life, past experiences. So he's saying he was trying to give some of his children, the kids that he teaches, life lessons, as well as English lessons, because he teaches English. Why? Because it's important to give them a variety of information. Lots of information, and not just try and teach them English. That's true. So you can always learn from people. So we're talking about life lessons as in useful knowledge, even principles. And he's saying English is important, but he not only tries to teach them English, but he tries to teach them life lessons as well. Now, he says, and I was teaching them that you're going to be okay in the future. He teaches them this. You're going to be okay in the future. You're going to be okay. Don't stress too much about all the little things. So he teaches them these things. I guess it's what he says to his kids. Everything's going to be okay in the future. And he also says, don't stress too much about all the little things. Let's take a look at this. Stress about something. In this case, the little things, meaning unimportant things. He says, don't stress about all the little things, all the tiny things, all those unimportant things. What does stress about mean? Stress about, in this case, does not mean to be stressed, but it means to worry about. So he's saying, kids, don't stress about all the little things. Don't worry about all the little things. They're just tiny things. They're not important. Okay. And then he says, did you have any life lessons that you learned from your parents or teachers? So he's asking her, did you learn anything? Are there any life lessons that you learned from your parents or teachers? Here we go. And so she says, I think during college, so she's taken us back to her college years. She says, I kind of started to have this mental breakdown. All right, let's take a look at mental breakdown. It's usually used with to have a mental breakdown. Another word that used in place of mental breakdown is nervous breakdown. You might have heard nervous breakdown more commonly than mental breakdown. Nervous breakdown, mental breakdown. What kind of feeling do you think you would experience when you have a mental breakdown? This is often when you're experiencing something very stressful. So a mental breakdown or a nervous breakdown is very similar to depression or anxiety, but it's used to describe a very stressful situation where you're temporarily, for a short period of time, unable to function normally in daily life, okay? Because you're experiencing something that is either physically or emotionally overwhelming. It's too much for you to handle. So you have a breakdown, okay? I don't know, it's probably slang, but in Korean, I think it's mental 붕괴. They say menbung. Very similar to that. So you can have a mental breakdown or a nervous breakdown. It means just to go through a very stressful situation. You can't function normally. So she says, I had chosen a major. This is when she is in college. So she chose a major and she says, I wasn't really sure it was what I wanted to do or how it was going to connect me to the greatest future for myself or everything that I had dreamed of. This whole part is very long, okay? But don't let it scare you. The point is, let's circle the keywords. She had chosen a major. So she chose a major. Here we go. Circle keywords. Okay, she was not sure it was what she wanted to do or how it was going to connect her to her greatest future or for herself, everything that she dreamed of. So just by looking at these keywords, what happened? She's in college. She was going through a very stressful time. She had a mental breakdown. She chose a major, but she wasn't sure what she wanted to do or what she should do. Okay? That's the whole story. It's just a very long sentence. All right, got it? Okay, so she says, I was talking to my dad one night. So she was talking to who? To her dad on the phone, and he said, honey, don't worry so much about the big picture or the exact path. Let's take a look at the sentence first. This is what her father said to her, okay? Don't worry so much about the big picture. What does he mean by the big picture? Big picture? Big painting? No, not at all. Big picture basically means the whole of something, the complete view of something, okay? The complete view of something. the big picture, the result of something perhaps, okay? Or the exact path. The path you are going to take, the road you will take. He says, the path will create itself. The path will create itself. It'll lead you. Just embrace your opportunities. All right. So this is what he's saying. Just embrace your opportunities. Embrace your chances that you have right now. Embrace means what? Embrace means to accept. Welcome. Come my way. I will hold you. So he says what? Don't worry about the big picture, the results. The path will create itself. It'll lead you. Just follow the path naturally. And he says, embrace your opportunities. Whatever opportunities come your way, just welcome them, embrace them. And he says, invest yourself into them. Give it your all. Invest yourself into them. Them meaning opportunities, and take out bits of wisdom. This is what Mary's father said to her one night on the phone when she was in college. Inevitably, meaning surely, okay? You're going to learn something from every experience. So this is what he said. You're going to learn something. Something big, something small. You're going to learn something from every single experience. This is what he said to her. I think this was great advice. And then he says, as I look back now, I see how all the dots connect. Okay, this is also what he said. He said to Mary, as I look back now, meaning as I look back into the past, as I look back into my past, okay, he says, I see how the dots connect. So dots, he's talking about perhaps opportunities. All these dots, opportunities, experiences that he experienced when he was younger, long time ago. He's saying, now I understand how they all connected. So he can make sense of everything. He now understands what happened. He now knows how all the dots connected. They all make sense to him now. But when he was going down his path, he couldn't see that, she says. Okay, although he said, now I know. Mary is saying, when he was going down his path. When? When he was younger, right? Long time ago. When he was actually walking down that path, he did not know what was happening. He was not able to connect those dots. Now he knows. He didn't know how this experience was going to give him this tool to deal with the problem in his future life. The point is, he did not know how. It was going to help him in the future, in his future job. Yes, Martin says, it certainly does. I couldn't agree more with regards to life and moving forward. So he's saying, I couldn't agree more, meaning I agree 100%. Now, moving forward. To move forward means what? This is a pattern we'll go over later on. Move forward means to make progress in something. Okay? Make progress in something. Usually in a positive way. So he says, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, or with him more. You just have to accept that not everything is going to work perfectly for you. Okay? Not everything is going to work perfectly for you. I think that's one of the biggest lessons you can learn. That's true. The point is, you need to learn to accept things. Whether it's good or bad, you need to be able to accept it and be okay with it, right? Okay. And then, moving on, Mary says, right, and when something doesn't work out the way you want it to, when something doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, there's a lesson to be learned, so it's okay. Exactly. Now, Martin said you need to learn to accept things. Be okay with it. If something bad happens, say, okay. It's bad, but it'll be okay. If something good happens, accept it. Great. This is wonderful. Accept things. So even Mary says if something doesn't work out, if something results negatively, okay, if the outcome is negative, Try to think positive and be okay with it. And he agrees, once again, exactly that. I do have to say that, having just listening to what Mary had to say about what her father told her when she was in college, it's great advice. It's something that I will remember and I should always keep in mind. So I hope that today's actual talk helped you out as well. Okay, let's take a listen to it one more time.
So I'm trying to give some of my kids life lessons as well as English lessons.
Yeah.
Because it's important to give them a variety of information, not just try and teach them English.
Right.
And I was teaching them that, you're going to be okay in the future. Don't stress too much about all the little things.
Right.
Did you have any life lessons that you learned from your parents or teachers?
Yeah, something similar to that. I think during college, I kind of started to have this mental breakdown. I had chosen a major. I wasn't really sure it was what I wanted to do or how it was going to connect me to the greatest future for myself or everything that I had dreamed of. And I was talking to my dad one night on the phone, and he kind of said, don't worry so much about the big picture or the exact path. The path will kind of create itself. Just embrace your opportunities that you have right now. Invest yourself into them and take out bits of wisdom. Inevitably, you're going to learn something from every experience. And then when you're looking back, as my father can do now, he's a little bit older than me, as he says, as I look back now, I see how all the dots connect. But when he was going down his path, he couldn't see that. He didn't know how this experience was going to give him this tool to deal with the problem in his future job. But it inevitably does.
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. With regards to life and moving forward, you just have to accept that not everything is going to work perfectly for you. I think that's one of the biggest lessons you can learn.
Right. And when something doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, there's a lesson to be learned. So it's okay.
Yeah, exactly that.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you listened carefully to the second chance you had, the second opportunity you had to listen to today's actual talk. Okay, now it's time for us to move on and take you to actual expressions. We've got just 2 vocab words for you, the first being embrace. Here we go. Stress goes on the second syllable. Embrace. Embrace means to accept, deal with, welcome, meaning to accept willingly or happily accept. Okay? What about inevitably? This is a very tricky word. It's not easy to pronounce. Inevitably. Inevitably. One more time. Inevitably. Okay, good job. It means surely, unavoidably, even inescapably. Okay? The easiest synonym would be surely. For sure, surely, inevitably. Now, mental breakdown or nervous breakdown, right? So, in today's actual talk, Mary was talking about how she had a mental breakdown. And as I mentioned, nervous breakdown is used as well. They mean the same thing. We're talking about experiencing depression or something similar to anxiety. But we're talking about a very, very stressful situation. Something so stressful that you experience that you are unable to function normally, okay? You're unable to function in daily life. This is usually because you're either experiencing something that's physically or emotionally overwhelming. It's too much for you to handle. So here we go. He suffered a nervous breakdown after the divorce. So you can say he had a nervous breakdown or he suffered a nervous breakdown. The word suffer itself just kind of stresses that he was really going through a very difficult time. He had a nervous breakdown. It's a light. If you want to kind of make that sound serious, you can say he suffered a nervous breakdown. He suffered a mental breakdown after the divorce. Okay? What about big picture? Okay, we're not talking about a big painting as in scale, large scale. We're talking about the whole of something. the completeness of something, the result of something, okay? So, don't focus on the little things. Try to look at the big picture. Sorry about that. So, don't focus on the little things, okay? Don't worry about the little things. Try to look at the big picture. Look at the whole story. Look at the complete thing. Take a view of the complete thing, okay? Not the tiny thing, but the big thing. Take a look at the big picture. Look at the big picture. And finally, to move forward with something usually. Move forward. It means to make progress, okay? To advance with something. Here is a sample sentence. Don't let anything stop you, and just move forward with it. Don't let anything stop you, okay? Just move forward with it, okay? Move on, okay? Advance with it. So please do go over these patterns, everyone, these idiomatic expressions and the vocab words so that they become yours. Job well done.